This episode is sponsored by Thorne, the official supplement partner of CrossFit. Thorne helps affiliates and athletes and individuals perform by optimizing performance through testing and premium nutritional supplements. Thorne has amazing benefits for affiliate owners and CrossFit trainers. Visit the CrossFit Affiliate Network to register for your free promotional account that will not only provide health solutions for your members, but will also drive revenues for your business. Eliminate the hassle of managing on-site inventory and building your online dispensary of preferred Thorne products. No minimum order is required, and the gym owner earns the full margin between wholesale and purchase price. Signing up is free and easy. To learn more, visit thorne.com/affiliate. And don't forget, 5% off all supplements during the open. Head to thorne.com/the letter U/CrossFit. Welcome, everyone, to the live recap of 22.3. I'm here with Team Reykjavík and the GM of Sport, Justin Bergh. And if you guys can hear Con Porter in the back, he's letting us know how fun 22.3 is going to be for everyone. How are you guys doing? I know is it late at night there in Iceland?
Yeah, it's 9:30 p.m.
Define late.
9:30. Yeah, define late. Yeah, it depends. The night owl Con Porter there.
It's a little better last year, and all the other years it would have been.
It's my bedtime.
So hey, at least it's still waking hours for some people.
Well, I would say it's dark, but Annie? Is this the time where it doesn't ever get dark in Iceland?
Oh, it's still getting dark, but the days are getting longer and longer, so we're getting closer and closer to a full daytime here.
When does that start?
Well, it's not until just the middle of the summer where we have that like one day where the sun doesn't set at all. But I would say like spring, so May, we'll start having it very light during the night. So the guys are going to have to get used to that. But they've also had to get used to having it very dark in January. So.
And now I've always been curious of what that's like, because to me that's an absolute trip that it stays light for 24 hours.
It's amazing. Like, seriously, you feel like you're more refreshed. You don't need to sleep as much. You're happier, have more energy throughout the day. I've actually competed a couple of times at like a golf tournament that starts at midnight. It's so much fun to have the light out. Yeah, and go camping. And it's really cool during the summertime to just like be able to have that. But like I said, during wintertime, we pay for it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I want to talk. Annie, the biggest news in the off season was you going team and assembling this crew together. And Lauren, I actually want to ask you is like, when did Annie first approach you for this, and thoughts when she did?
Annie, it's a funny story. So Annie sent me an Instagram message like back in November. But she asked me to do a team of 3 for Whatappalooza, a girl team. And I got back to her because I just got elbow surgery in August. And I told her, like, hey, Annie, I'm not going to be ready come January. Like, I haven't even done ring muscle-ups yet. I haven't done pull-ups. There was a lot of movements I couldn't do. So I was like, that's aggressive for me to compete come January. And then, so I got back, said I could team. And then literally, she asked me, well, there's going to be another opportunity to do a team. And I was thinking to myself, well, what is the other opportunity to do team going to be? And then she sent me another message and was like, do you want to do a team for the CrossFit Games? And I was like, I can't believe she just sent me an Instagram message and asked if I wanted to do a team for the CrossFit Games. So then I was like, hey, we need to hop on a call. Like, this is kind of a serious deal. Like, I need to know, like, more details. And so we hopped on a call and she was like, yeah, I'm serious. I want to do a team for the CrossFit Games. And so I think she was first getting the female and then we didn't have the guys yet. And then I was like, well, I need to think about this more because that's kind of a big move for me to move from San Diego to Iceland. And then, the rest is history.
Now,
well, we've also seen how Annie negotiates.
I know. Geez,
now,
Annie.
Like, display, so there's no doubt that Thorne was in.
Could you have been more ruthless with these poor guys here in Hendersonville? Wow. I'm never negotiating anything with you.
What do you mean? I had no idea. Like, first of all, I don't know them as athletes. I had no idea how fast this workout would be or how much time we should have. And I had talked to my team beforehand, and Lauren is just coming from COVID, and they were like, no more than 4 minutes, no more than 4 minutes. I'm like, whew, all right, I'm going to have to negotiate here. So I gave 30 seconds more, and I said that to the guys. I'm like, I'm sorry, I had to give them 30 more seconds. But yeah, that was, I had no idea. Like, I had no idea what was the right negotiation. But it was, yeah, like I said, I didn't know like if this was going to be a 5-minute workout or a 10-minute workout. And then it's really hard to know how much you should give or how great the gymnastics. So it was a tough one. Maybe I was too brutal on them.
Yeah, it's easy to know in retrospect. Annie, you'll probably remember this. This is the second negotiation. And then do you remember the first workout negotiation at a CrossFit event?
Are you talking about like invitationals?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. I want to hear this story.
Yeah.
Damn. I negotiated at that invitationals because the boys on my team, they were like, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. And then I'm like, dude, can you actually do that weight? And they're like, oh, no, I cannot do that weight. I'm like, why are you saying it's fine? Because now I have to argue for everyone that it's not fine. It was like Tuomas and Numi or something. And I was like, Tuomas didn't quite understand English that well at that time. And Rich and Kalipa, they just like bumped up the weights. And I'm like, I wanted to bump up the weights on the female side, but Julie and the girls didn't want to bump up the weight there. So I felt like the USA was getting like everything through. And then I had team meeting with my team and they're like, no, we cannot do that. I'm like, oh, that was a tough negotiation. I had to really, really do my best there. But yeah, that's true. I have forgotten about that. I was good at negotiating there.
The setup, if people don't know what she's talking about, this was the very first CrossFit Invitational. And it took in London, I think this 2012 maybe. Yeah. And the setup for this was there was going to be some of the workouts in terms of structure we'd walk in with, but there was the United States team and there was the European team, and we walked into a room at a hotel and basically facilitated an argument between what the weight should be, what the workout should be, and the pretext was both teams kind of were supposed to walk in with a couple workout ideas, and I, we're listening to both sides, and like the U.S. teams were like, hey, no matter what they say, we're going to increase the weight. Like, so if they come in at 135, no matter what, it's going to be 165. Don't accept anything less. And then Annie, because there was a little bit of a language barrier there, Annie was doing most of the negotiating for the European team. And so she was kind of like the vocal, she was the voice of Team Europe at the time. She did a good job. And that was also
Let's just say
really
voice of reasoning for that. Like, it would have been awful if we would have gone with the weights that they wanted in the beginning. Yeah. But yeah, man, that was fun. Fun.
Suffice it to say that if there's a negotiation, you want Annie on your team.
No kidding. My
Just
goodness.
about any other scenario.
Well done.
That's also a good statement.
Like, hey, I need some advice on some contract negotiation.
Call Annie.
Call Annie. Tola, I got a question for you, bud, is how's the move to Iceland been? I mean, you came from Vegas and then you much went to the complete opposite environment across the world.
Yeah, definitely a little different than Las Vegas, but I mean, I lived in Boston for 5 years, so
that's
the
true.
weather's pretty similar there. Weather's pretty similar there. Took some getting used to for the darkness. I think the first week or two, I slept like 10 to 12 hours every night just because my body didn't know what was happening. But I really like it here. Yeah, I'm having a good time.
Con, what about you? How's that move been?
Yeah, sort of similar to Tola, very different to Australia. It's summer back home at the moment. So, yeah, it's been an adjustment. The weather and that kind of lacking the mobility that I do at home to be able to just kind of get up, go outside, get about with that same kind of freedom due to kind of, especially when it was darker at the start, that's getting better now. But then also the weather, you kind of want to go for a walk, but it's bucketing down snow or pissing down rain. Although it's been pissing rain at home, that's been a tragedy actually at the moment. But yeah, it's definitely been a huge lifestyle adjustment for me, but one that's been really enjoyable. And it's been a really, like a very different experience. I think that was part of what attracted me to coming here in the first place was just the contrast, not only in lifestyle, but in like landscape, weather, all that kind of stuff. It just seemed about as big an adventure as I could find. And so, yeah, why not? It's been a ride, but I've enjoyed it.
Con, for you, I mean, you just mentioned what's happening in Australia right now. Is how tough is it being away? I mean, it's already tough to be away from home, and how tough is it now being from home with everything that's happening?
It's crazy. It feels surreal. Like the world at the moment feels surreal, and my heart goes out to everyone that has been affected back home, and also the people in the Ukraine with everything that's going on there. It's just where this, Australia is this island in the middle of nowhere, but it's my home, and the people there are my people. And seeing the way that it's kind of been devastated by floods, and then that's almost overshadowed by all the other stuff that's going on in the world at the moment. It's been bizarre, and it's been. I've been checking in with mum and dad and with everyone back there to make sure that everything's okay. But yeah, it's hard to really grasp it being so far removed. And I mean, we're so in our routine here, and we've got such a kind of solid focus, which is amazing. But yeah, it's certainly, I mean, I miss home. I miss home for a lot of different reasons. And I think while stuff like that is happening back there, it really does make it hard being away from people that you care about. And so, yeah, but again, at the same time, it is really hard to grasp the enormity of it when you are so far removed over here, and we are so kind of in our little bubble every day, get up, go, train. But yeah, my heart does go out to the people of Australia that have been affected by the floods, and it really is. It blows my mind. 2 years ago we had fires, and now this. It's like what a time to be alive on this planet. It's crazy.
Lauren, I want to ask you is, you got the call from Annie. There was like, okay, here's the plan. And now you're there. And what has been some of the more unique things that Iceland has presented you while you've been there?
Iceland is so different from San Diego. I think for me, it's definitely been a lifestyle change as well. I'm not used to having to put on like a thick coat every single day, like just to go to the gym. Like simple things like that. And then, you're trying to carry your gym bag. You have this thick coat on, just like kind of making everything so difficult as you're walking out the door. And then you're like, shoot, I didn't zip up my jacket. It's like super windy right now. And you're kind of getting thrown around by the wind and the rain and just like everything else going on. So I think definitely the climate has been a huge change. But one of the biggest things that has like just kind of surprised me a little bit. Well, so I knew Annie was a big deal in Iceland, but I guess I didn't know how much of a big deal she was until I actually got here. And she is like literally like Queen of Iceland. I mean, her and Katrin, like I feel like I'm like, oh, we get like free smoothies at the smoothie place, or we're going to get massages. We got the hookup. We're going to this like lunch place. We have a discount. It's like, I'm just like, wow, Annie knows everyone. And she's literally just like this queen on her throne here in Iceland. And then you go to the massage place and they're like, yeah, I'm just still like shocked. Annie's like such a celebrity. Like, and then one day Annie, Katrin and I went to go get our nails done. And Annie was like, yeah, Lauren, if you were to post on Instagram right now that we were getting our nails done, it would for sure be in the Iceland news. Lauren Fisher, Annie Thorisdottir, and Katrin go and get their nails done. I'm like, small things like this. I'm like, is this for real right now? I think that's been a lot of fun to experience.
So, Annie, you're basically saying if me and Justin come visit, we're going to be able to get free nail manicures and pedicures, and we come. Just drop your name.
No, you will not get the free manicure and pedicure because those are expensive here in Iceland.
That's expensive in Iceland. Lauren found out it's expensive stuff here in Iceland. But I'll get you a hookup at restaurants and introduce you to people.
Yeah. Annie, in 2019 is when we had the national champions making their way to the CrossFit Games with the Open. I got to talk to you before, during that march out about your thoughts on that. And you said something pretty incredible that it resonated with me for a while. And, you were the national champions that we have now that are celebrated in the Open after 3 weeks are over. Those can be catalysts to a greater CrossFit community countries. And what you said to me is like, you were actually that person in 2009. You were that national champion. And what we've seen, your impact on just not just, you know, Icelandic athletes, but, you know, Europe as a whole has been monumental. I mean, how much of that do you carry with you as far as, you know, like your impact on the sport, the community that you have at CrossFit Reykjavík, and what that means to you personally?
Wow, that's like a very loaded question. I'm not even sure what you're asking really. But yeah, with the whole like national champions thing, I didn't want it to be that people like national champions would qualify for the games. I'm really glad that that's changed, that it doesn't just happen through the open, because I feel like we need to see the athletes do more. We want to do more events. I wouldn't want my season to be over now until the games. Like, we need more competitions, more visibility, and more tests before we reach the big stage. However, what I thought was really, really good about that was that I realized how much it did for Iceland when I represented Iceland at the games and did good at the games, especially when I won the games, obviously. Like, after that year, it was all over media, and most people in Iceland knew what CrossFit was, and it got people excited and interested. And it's the same as like when Iceland did good in soccer, like when the guys did good at the World Cup in soccer, and it's like incredible how great they were doing at the Europeans and Worlds. Like, after that, all the soccer clubs filled with little boys wanting to do soccer and try it out. And it's the same with these sports, and that's what it can do for the community when you have people rising up in Norway, Denmark, like Spain, Brazil, like anywhere it is. When you have someone to look up to, it becomes more of a reality that you can accomplish that yourself. I am just a normal girl from Iceland, and I don't feel like I'm a celebrity in Iceland. I feel like I'm just one of everyone in Iceland. Yes, a lot of people know who I am, but I'm still just Annie. Like, I am just an Icelandic girl that is very good at her sport, but I'm one of everyone here. And I feel like that's what it does for you, is that it becomes reachable somehow. Like, by me doing so good, Kat looked at it and she was like, okay, if she can do it, I can do it. And that's exactly how it should be. Sarah did the same, like Thuri, Bergh. Like, there's a reason we have so many strong Icelandic girls. And now look at Norway on the leaderboard. Like, Holte has been there for so long, and now look at the Norwegian girls that are crushing it. And I believe the same thing is going to happen in South America, like in all of these places where you have someone representing that you can look up to and you see that it's doable. That's what it can do for this sport. And that's why I think it would be really cool at some point to have, like, we have the Small Nations Cup where Iceland gets to compete on the big stage in a lot of the sports where we are never going to make it to the Worlds. It would be cool to do something like that for this sport at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered. I wanted to say that.
I think Annie's a great example of that. And now you see also on the men's side, like a guy like Guy Malheiros, where South America now, and Brazil in particular,
exactly,
on that stage. And so you can just extrapolate out what that impact is going to mean. And I think Annie's a great example of this. There's a difference in what I've seen with games athletes with believing that they can actually do something and knowing that they can do it. And so there's that, and I still hear, and I talk to a lot of athletes now more than ever, and people are saying, hey, I still have this concern, you know, like, I wonder if I'm good enough. But when you see, like, Annie opens doors, Guy opened doors, Willie George in France opens doors, like other, Kristen Holte opens it and keeps it open. And so when you see her competing in the open and putting up top scores, that keeps a Norwegian flag high on a big global leaderboard. That continues to have an impact on young Norwegian athletes and other Europeans. So I think the credibility goes to, you know, Annie and another generation, but also continuing, just like some of our staff, like, keep opening the doors for others. And then there's going to be new trainers and new athletes and new affiliate owners that are going to come behind. And I really like your idea. Annie and I are actually super aligned on a lot of things. We've had some good conversations, most recently in Miami, but I really like the idea of having more pride in the national champion honor. And we won't go back to doing, hey, the open is the single thing. What we have been doing for the last couple of years is that the open, if athletes don't advance to quarterfinals, will declare a national champion. But if athletes go to quarterfinals, then the quarterfinal stage will be what determines the national
Oh,
champion.
okay.
And so we still do award the national champion honors. I think last year was about really stabilizing the individual competition to the finals and the team competition. This year, bringing the age groupers and the adaptive divisions in line with that. So it's a much more efficient season and easier for fans to understand. But there's going to be another layer that we can keep digging into about, hey, there are unbelievably good athletes that fly their flag. And as we give them more opportunities, you can expect them to expand kind of the expectations for their country going forward.
Along those lines, Colin, actually, I want to ask you some of that similar things. Is like, how much did, say, past Australian athletes influence you in your CrossFit journey?
Yeah, massive, man. I mean, I kind of came to CrossFit. I'd sort of found out what it was, and I really liked the idea of it being a competitive outlet. Like, I started CrossFit because I wanted to compete in CrossFit, and I was actually really, really lucky. When I first walked, the very first CrossFit gym that I walked into the doors of was actually owned by Chad McKay's partner. So the very first gym that I happened to stumble across, and I was that guy that walks into a CrossFit gym and goes, hey, like, my name's Khan, I want to train here, I want to make the CrossFit Games. I remember Cass, who owned it, was like, oh, you know, so my partner does CrossFit, he's the #1 in Australia, it's really hard to, you know, you get those people, they walk into the gym and they say that, and you go, like, what is this guy on about? It's really good. Like, my partner's #1 in Australia at the moment, Chad McKay, and I was like, oh man, yeah, I know who he is. That's awesome. So I was extremely lucky that I had this exposure to the best in Australia at the time when I started. And, you know, that was the fact that he was willing to just come in and train with me, and I was able to just train with someone who to me seemed like, you know, that was the pinnacle of the sport. Him, and then, like, I remember as well that same year going up to, we have this local competition, or used to have a local competition called the Immortals. I remember going up to the Gold Coast, and I was sitting up there, it was 2012, end of the year, and I was sitting right behind the, again, faster team, which had like Brandon Swan and Rob Forte. And I remember I mean, like, you know, Brandon's now one of my good friends, and I love him and Robbie. And, you know, my early career, there was a couple of good years where Rob and I really were battling for that kind of top spot. So, like, these guys were heroes, like people that I idolized when I first started, and still do to this day. Like, you know, for different reasons now. Like, I look at Swanee as like a dad and all that sort of stuff, and he's just a good kid, man. He's like younger than me, but I look up to him, and it's really cool. Like, the Australian community, where we have Tia, and she's amazing, and, you know, I can't sing her praises high enough, and she gets a lot of deserved attention for that. But we have a really strong and a really passionate community down there, and a lot of really, really good people. And, you know, yes, we have Tia that gets that recognition, but it's one of those kind of communities that I think really slips through the cracks a little bit on the international stage. And I just am so proud to represent them. I'm so proud at every event that I get to go to that there's an Australian flag on my jersey. And, you know, when I was a kid, I wanted to play rugby for Australia. Getting to wear my country's colours is beyond a dream for me. And yeah, like, we have an amazing community down there. There are so many incredible people for the young athletes that are coming up now to look up to. There's so many great young athletes that are coming through as well. And yeah, I mean, I'm a damn proud Australian at heart, and I really hope that region continues to grow and continues to get the recognition on that global scale, particularly the blokes, because we have a good crack, you know, and a good bunch of people.
Speaking to the younger generation, Lauren, I wanted to ask you, is like, you know, you started CrossFit so young in your career with Garrett, and, you know, you're grown strong is really your brand that you've brought to the forefront for the community. What's it like been for you? I mean, you paved that way a long time ago of like, how old are you when you first started?
Gosh, when I first started CrossFit, it was 2008, and I was 2008. I was born in 94, so 14 years old. Okay. 13 or 14. I was freshman going into high school, and I just wanted an extra strength and conditioning program to do for basketball. My brothers were like, hey, Lauren, we're going to go train out with this guy, Vince Carter, and do CrossFit. And I was like, had no idea what I was getting myself into. And then from there, like, yeah, I guess paved the path in my first regionals in 2012 with like Miranda Oldroyd, Jenny Labaugh, like Annie Sakamoto, like all of these OG names. And when I got there, I was just like looking up to all of them. And I remember watching videos of like Annie competing, watching like Camille, Julie Fouché, and then it's just like crazy now. And then 2014, I was telling Annie this actually recently. If you look at all the girls who placed top 10 in 2014, I was one of those girls, and all of those girls are either have had kids or they are retired now. Besides, like, well, Annie just had a kid, so, and Annie's still competing. But it's just crazy because now I'm like, it's 2022, and I feel like an OG in this sport, and I was one of the youngest coming up. And it feels like I've been doing this for such a long time, and it's just like, it's kind of just, it goes full circle. Like, it's just kind of crazy that now I'm doing a team with Annie Thorisdottir, and like, it's just been really fun to get to know her more. And yeah, it just kind of set the path for these young athletes up and coming. I mean, these girls are rock stars, and it's just really cool to see this, the standards just get higher and higher, and be part of this sport. And just like, yeah, it's been so exciting.
And with that, one of the things I really like that Lauren mentioned is the same loss and her dad. You know, it's a way different path for young athletes to start learning and playing our sport. You know, so like yourself, Lauren, there wasn't a teenage division when you started at that point. So there was a lot of pressure to compete with the RX loads. And so there wasn't a lighter loading for the young teenage division. There wasn't a young teenage division. And so I'm really happy with the progress that we've made. I think we can accelerate that even more going forward, which is creating more opportunities for people to compete at their appropriate level. So more responsible competition. So not just everybody's trying to rush to compete with the, you know, the gold medalists and the podium finishers at the finals, but that they can kind of stack themselves and compete with teenagers at lighter loads with appropriate volume. And then they can move up to, you know, the RX load, but compete against other teenagers. And then even going forward, people who aren't necessarily younger, but being able to participate in more licensed events. And CrossFit going forward is a big part of my job, is going to be more assertive in how we create kind of the right level of competition, a responsible competition between where people's ability levels are and the types of programming for responsible event organizers. So I think this is going to be really fun and create more of a strata where you can say, hey, you know, Lauren, if you were going to do this, start your career now, you could say, hey, I competed at a certain level and I moved up and my individual fitness got higher, and you could see that. And I started competing for events like teenage championships or, you know, certain, you know, kind of minor league events that would give more of a graduated step process to get people into, you know, eventually the CrossFit Games. And then also have this wonderful kind of track record of progress there also, which I think is going to be a really important part to tell.
Tola, I want to ask you a question. Is that, you know, you really cut your teeth in the team side before you moved into individual, but like, you know, I feel like this is a completely different world that you're training in under, you know, the guide of Annie Thorisdottir. What's it like been for you of taking that team experience and then bringing it to this team?
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved competing on a team, and just kind of similar to Lauren and Con, when Annie kind of approached me with this opportunity, it was like a really long conversation in my head that ended up being like 5 seconds of, you know, really feeling like if I didn't take this opportunity, I would regret it. And, you know, being in this environment, not only with, you know, my amazing teammates, but under Yami's guide as a coach, and having Frederick here and BK and Kat, it's just a really, really cool environment. And I'm excited for us to continue to get to know each other and start to compete in more team style events as we move into quarters and semis, and really, really show our stuff.
Annie, for you, obviously, I mean, you have team experience on the invitationals side, but how, you know, you've put this team together to obviously go to, I mean, you've never walked onto the CrossFit Games stage and not want to try to win, right? And so that's the goal.
Of course.
How much has this addition of team training changed really kind of like your approach and feel to the season?
Ooh. I guess my approach is very similar because we are all still trying to be the best athletes that we can be, and peak at the right time. The difference is we need to get to know each other, not just like on a personal level, but like know each other as athletes as well. and know how to communicate. And that's what Mayhem has on us, is that they've been together as a team for a very long time. They know each other really well, their strengths and weaknesses, and can almost just read each other. And that's definitely something I'm gonna admit, it's been quite challenging for me, not being able to read them. But I am so competitive that even like on the worm, I want to be faster or something, and like you can't do that. And it's like it's really hard to be on the worm. And even just like seeing myself for the first time, like seeing a video of us doing the worm, I'm like, am I really doing this? It's like really funny to see it, because you've seen people do it, but I've never really done it. I've done it at invitationals with BK or whatever, but it's like, it's very different. And even our first training session, I said that to the guys and to Yami, like, we were deadlifting and Lauren was deadlifting the same as me, and she was like pulling the bar faster from the floor. I'm like, no, she's not better than me at that lift. Like, I wanted to go heavier or pull it faster. And they're like, wait, this is a good thing. Like, I want them to be as good as possible. We want all of us to be as good as possible. So like, also when we took the floor for this workout, it's like, hell yeah, I want to win. And I even said it to the guys afterwards when I saw that they had a better time than I did. I'm like, now I want to do this workout again, because I want to be the best. But like, I, at the same time, want them to be the best possible. Like, I want them to be the best versions of themselves and the best athletes. And it's been really fun and very different for me, because the only other people I've wanted to become better is BK and Kat to a certain extent. Now it's like full on. I want to make her as good as possible and give her everything that I got. But I want to give these athletes everything that I got. And they're making me better at the same time. And I think after this season, I'm going to be the best athlete I've ever been, because I am learning so much about communications, about pacing, about listening to others. And it's challenging, but it's at the same time so motivating and really fun.
I enjoyed the smile on all your teammates' face when you said, I wanted to move the worm faster. I feel like that has come up a few times in team training.
Yeah, a lot of people want to move the worm faster. Yeah.
Let's just say I'm not like the best there.
Annie was like the worm, like she was in the middle of the worm and I was at the back of the worm. And she was like, I don't know, I feel like I should be at the back of the worm and doing more. I didn't feel like I was doing anything. And I'm like, Annie, you're just fine. You're helping the boys out by being on the middle of the worm.
I am struggling with the worm though. It's like, it's so weird. It's so like, it's really cool. It's really cool. It's communication.
What I think is really cool too is, and you guys have all said it, I think Lauren said it in the interview also, but what's cool is all of you guys are getting way fitter. And so, it's not, hey, I'm going team because it's less difficult. That's another path in their journey. So like Khan's been an individual, now he's going team. Tola's done team, and he's doing team in a different environment. But if you were just to look at their progress, like as human beings and what their work capacity is, and I've seen this with demo team athletes, and they're like, hey, even just having that experience transforms their, they have a better understanding of what it looks like. But it makes them a different athlete, so, and we've had a lot of athletes that came from the demo team where we get to see in really kind of close quarters, but like Danielle, Brandon, and others, like you see them and like they take something from that experience and they take it on to the next opportunity, and their fitness just gets better. And so whether it's they leave this camp or they leave this division and they move on, what's really interesting is like, hey, the bar continues to rise, whether it's individuals or teams, but individuals are just getting way more fit regardless of which division they're in.
Annie, how do you guys balance, and I'm sure Yami has a huge part of this, but like, how do you guys balance improving your skill sets as individuals while having to work together in a team setting? Like you said, communication is a real weapon that Mayhem has, their ability, and that they've worked on for years in that. But like, you also have to improve your individual fitness to improve the team. How do you guys balance the two?
So yeah, that's Yami. He takes care of the programming. Frederick is lending in hand as much as he can, but Yami is like, he's on top of it, making sure that we're building the things that we need to build. We all need to work on different things. But at the same time, we all want to have the best engine possible, be able to breathe. Like, that's what we're doing off season. We're building a strong engine. We're building up the gymnastics capacity. And then we make sure that we had in the beginning, we made sure that we did minimum of 2 team workouts per week. And you just program it so that you're able to get the most out of it, both communication wise, in sync wise, and also being able to breathe, like work on that side at the same time. So I feel like we had to get our hands on the worm as soon as possible. So we made sure that we got that a lot in the beginning of the season. And then when we do, for example, when we do like gymnastics conditioning, then we might sync up. Like me and Tola have done a lot of, we might just do it in sync, even if we're not doing it in like supposed to do that, then we might just practice doing that if it's on the 20 seconds or on the 30 seconds and get competitive at the same time. But like it's working on that and communications as much as possible. And I feel like, at least for me, even in the sessions where we're doing it individually, I am trying to notice the speeds that the guys are keeping, the speed that Lauren is keeping, the rep scheme that they're going on gymnastics movements, just to get to know them as well as possible. So we know how to pair up perfectly, and we know what we need to work on to make sure that we don't have, or we make our weakest link pair movement stronger.
And I want to call out one thing too. So Yami Tinkinen, level 4 CrossFit trainer, former flow master, and kind of a hallmark of the European,
and a hell of a break dancer.
A good break dancer too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But one of the, you can talk a lot about, the top of the pyramid, the theoretical development of an athlete, and at the top are like the sport specific skills. So like moving the worm is a sport specific skill. All the things beneath that, metabolic conditioning, gymnastic ability, weightlifting ability, but like really building a broad fitness base. This team has like a super advantage with Annie being formerly on CrossFit seminar staff, like really deeply understanding the methodology, like hearing the lectures, giving the lectures. Yami as a flow master, like developing other trainers, like really knowing what the middle of the bullseye looks like and how to focus on that. And then also understanding how to use variance, how to train with intensity, not just for the sport, but also like, hey, how do you prepare yourselves to expand the margins in all these different areas and really accurately assess weaknesses? Is one of those, it's not just like, hey, you put these all-stars together and then they all just work out hard and they learn how to do the worm and they go. I'm sure, and Andy, maybe you can talk to this, there's a lot more about individual assessment that you really have to know what fitness is and know where the weaknesses are. And then that's where, I'm imagining a lot, their advantage is not, hey, everybody's just got a lot of competition floor experience. There's excellent coaching from people that know exactly where fitness starts and how to kind of push the boundaries out. So I'd imagine, and you can probably talk to this, but that's not something that everybody has.
No, absolutely. You're so right. Like, I think it's our secret to have Yami. Like, he is, in my opinion, by far the best one out there. We've worked together now since 2010. So he knows me extremely well. Believe me, I have challenged him a lot when it comes to programming and getting to know the athlete and figuring out what works. I'm going to say it in a positive way that I've challenged him, because when we want to change things, I ask him the hard questions because I want to understand why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? That just works for me as an athlete, and it challenges him a little bit more as a coach. And we've had to learn how to deal with back injury, knee issues, shoulder injury. And then I'm going to say, and he would say so too, the hardest year of programming was last year when I went through my birth. Like, he had to learn how to work with that, and I had to learn so much at the same time. And we learned to get the very most out of every single session. And that's what we're doing here. And I think the other guys can attest to that. It's so many people go through the movements and go through their program just to go through it. It's not about just going through it. It's about getting the very most out of it. And I'd rather do less in my training and do it properly, do it with the right intensity, not just like walk through all the movements to be able to like mark it off that you did this, you did that. You need to do it with the right intentions, and you need to do it well and feel like you gave it everything you had on that day. It might not mean that you're going super heavy every single day. Some days that's not going to happen, but those days you're going to be working more on the skill and the technique behind it. So he's an incredible coach, and he deserves so much acknowledgement for everything that he's done.
Well, and
with me and what he's doing now.
And this is, this is the training side, right? You guys got to put in a lot of work because of the goals at which you guys have. But at the same time, I've been a part of coaching teams. I've been training on teams before, and there is a fun element to this because you're not alone in the process, and you guys all having to work together and blending personalities. Con, I know you've had a whirlwind of a career back and forth as far as being actually into the season or feeling like you just had to compete because you were competitive. But what has this been like for you as far as bringing fun back to training?
This is exactly what I needed at this stage of my career. I was very much uncertain about what my year was going to look like this year. The accountability, the vibe, the amount of knowledge that each individual athlete brings to the table about in so many different ways. I mean, I want to first of all echo what Annie was saying about Yami. I genuinely am blown away by his depth and breadth of knowledge as well. He's not just when it comes to the training side of things, but when it comes to the psychology and the mindset and the mental sort of aspect of all that stuff, which is what I froth hard on. He's so good, it is ridiculous. And so that he really is a secret weapon. So having access to that knowledge, having access to the group of people that I'm surrounded by every day in the team, and then again with BK coming in, Kat as well. Yeah, I don't know, I've never felt more motivated personally to train. I mean, I've always enjoyed training, but you're right, it's kind of oscillated between being a focus for me and something that I just did because I knew I was going to do reasonably well, and it was part of what I was doing. And I don't think I've ever been so committed to getting better. And that starts with the people that you're around, and that starts with your environment. And I think this environment change was so profound for me in terms of getting to that place where now it seeps into the other aspects of my life. When I'm outside of the gym, I'm starting to think before I do something, before I pick up that second bottle of beer and go, ooh, is this going to make me better? Is what I'm about to do now making me better? And that really trickles down from the dedication and the attitude that each of the other members bring to it. And nothing against my boys that I train with back home, but it's just, I think it's quite as big a priority for them as it is for these people here. So yeah, this environment is unlike anything I've ever been in before. And hats off to the guys and girls that I'm training with and the crew that support us as well. There is, like Annie said, you come into the gym and it's like I'm at school. Get in here and you're learning the whole time that you're here. Everything is done with purpose. Everything is done well. And that takes a particular type of focus and dedication that then forces you to kind of pull everything in outside. It really forces you to question, is every single thing that I'm doing making me better, or is this potentially going to make me worse? And yeah, it's wild. It's so cool. And it's so cool to kind of be at the start of this journey. I'm so excited to see where each and every one of us are as we kind of get to that pointy end of the season.
Yeah, and it's cool. You can kind of tie this line all the way back to, so we're doing this interview right after a live open announcement show. And so we are here in Hendersonville, Tennessee. And it's cool hearing about, hey, great coaches that know what they're talking about, that create great atmosphere, that also create the right kind of vibe. It's not just about knowledge, but can they apply it? Can they create the right personal connections? And we just watched a bunch of athletes before that are a couple years in that walked into a gym, and go watch and rewind the tape. Those are great thrusters. Those are real bar muscle ups. These are efficient, well-moving athletes that are thriving in their own kind of environment here. So these teams that we just saw with Hendersonville, they're not a semifinal aspiring team. These are just regular people that move well. They have a great time. They're training 3 to 5 times a week. They're not training, 5+ hours a day, but the needs differ by degree, so they're getting a relatively good dose here, super coaches, great atmosphere, but it's the same thing that you're seeing, in Iceland with Annie and what you've created over there. I'm watching you smile as you're hearing about Con make good life decisions. And so it's cool. That's not just what do you know, but also can you create really great personal connections with your athletes, whether it's on a team or in a coached environment.
Let's be honest, Andy, how much do we got to reel Porter in? We gotta.
Oh, I'm not being bossy. He makes his own decisions. I just ask him if it's good ones.
and that's the last of that's good leadership.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes like telling people is different than just creating an atmosphere where people are like, yeah, I want to do that. And whether it's Annie or it's, you know, it's Lindsay McDuffie, people are like, yeah, like this is what we do around here. And it's just really cool.
I found a beer at the local craft beer bar that had electrolytes in it. So that's happy, basically. I mean, I'm
there
sorry,
we
I'm
go.
sorted.
Making good decisions.
Sounds like a nice
And I only have hot dogs for dinner a couple of times a week now. I'm really coming along in leaps and bounds.
And you know, Annie said cinnamon rolls only on Saturday. So cinnamon rolls only on Saturdays. Because we live right next to a bakery, or the gym is right next to a bakery, and they make
The gym is next to a bakery?
That's
cool.
So they make these bomb pastries, but Annie said we can only like go and get the cinnamon rolls on Saturdays.
She never said we couldn't have other pastries though during the week. I'm just going to put that out there. They make an assortment of baked goods, and we are the only thing that was stipulated was cinnamon rolls on Saturday.
Okay, what is
the other pastries are not even worth it, Con. So like that's not even up for discussion.
The scones are good. The scones are good.
I love that stuck with them though. I was just telling them about the cinnamon buns, but it didn't even cross my mind. You don't buy it on weekdays. You buy it on Saturdays because Saturdays are cheat days. That's the official candidate. You don't buy that stuff on other days. Yeah. So I didn't even mean it like that. It was just like it. I would never even think about buying it on other days because Saturdays are the days.
I think that's where maybe you and some of the other crew here differ, myself included.
Totally, you're being very quiet. That's the look of a man who has them more than once during a week. Is that the look I'm getting from you right there?
What was that?
I said you're being very quiet, as looking like a man who has it more than once during the week. Cinnamon roll.
I think I just keep quiet for Con. I think that's the big thing. He'll tell me he has one. I'm like, I just kind of give him like a, does Annie know about this? And then we just keep it quiet.
That's a real.
And Tola, can I just say, Tola is the best chef. I come into the kitchen and he has just like about 3 different pans going on. The air fryer's cooking. You can just smell this mix of unbelievable stuff. And you just like come back out there. He's sitting at the table with his like plates of stuff, and you just know he's made something absolutely incredible. And then I go and get my hot dogs. But he kills it. He sets a very good example.
Yeah, I had no idea about Tola and this, but it seems like he is so structured. Like he's got his shit together. Like,
all right, Tola.
He knows when he needs to eat and that he needs to eat a lot, and he makes pretty good decisions when it comes to food as well. I'm like, he likes plan, he likes structure, he likes to know when things are gonna happen, and like I love that. I love that. I had no idea that Tola was like that, but he's easy.
That's great. Well, listen, guys, I want to go one by one before we close out here. Any tips and tricks you can have for people around the world? But before we get there, we do just want to thank Monster H Water, formulated for those who crave the flavor without the sacrifice and energy without the crash. Zero sugar, Monster Energy Ultra, and Monster Hydro have the flavors of any WOD you're looking to conquer. So you guys just got to do 22.3. Annie, we'll start with you. Now you've had a chance to, I mean, you didn't get a whole lot of time to plan for this, but it seemed pretty straightforward for a lot of athletes. But what's the one little tidbit you can give to those taking this on that maybe are new to the CrossFit Open?
Maybe new to the CrossFit Open. Well, I would just say you need to like know your strengths and weaknesses. If you're good at the gymnastics, you can allow yourself to go a little bit harder on the other movements. If you're thinking about the bar muscle ups or the chest to bar, struggling on the bar muscle ups, you need to pace it correctly, and you need to just like know that that's where the workout is made and be as fresh as possible when you make it there.
Tola, I'll come to you next. Watching you do this, you made it look like an intentional break at the second barbell. Was that to set yourself up better for the bar muscle ups, and is that something you would suggest to maybe athletes that are looking to be a bit quicker in this event?
Yeah, I think your top times are gonna go unbroken, but I think if you're questioning whether you can go unbroken or not, a good plan to break on the second barbell and maybe even on the bar muscle-ups in the third bar, you'll end up going faster than trying to, taking a big rest or hanging on for slow reps. If you have a good tight plan and you can make those breaks quick, I think you can go pretty fast, even breaking it up.
And then Lauren, I'll come to you. Is that, anything that surprised you in this event that you might have thought would have felt differently going into it?
Well, a lot surprised me because I just tested positive for COVID on Friday, but I tested negative today. So I was not feeling very well, but for this workout. But in general, I think that set of 18 thrusters before the bar muscle ups definitely got a little bit spicy. And what surprised me the most was that it wasn't my grip on this workout. It was my triceps on the bar muscle ups were pretty much almost gone. And I think all the thrusters and then going to those bar muscle ups. So staying consistent and smooth at the beginning if you can, and then just knowing maybe if you need to break up the bar muscle ups a little bit and pushing those last bit of thrusters.
And then Con, for you, it's full send, right? That's what we'll go for.
Yeah, don't break anything up. Just push the pace, pull that thruster bar back down, barely keep your pull-ups. You know how to do it, guys. We've all been doing this for a long time. We'll tell you the pace, but we all know you're going to go out hot anyway. That's what happens at my gym anyway. Back home. No, I echo Rowan. The thing that really went for me was my triceps. Those last thrusters they got real. But cool workout because there's so many layers to it and there's so many ways that people can approach this based on their strengths and weaknesses. But I'm excited to see some of the top times. I'm sure there's going to be some people that go maybe like mid to low fours. Good for them. It's not within my realm of possibility, but thus is the beauty of CrossFit.
Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for being here on the show with us. And obviously, thank you for being a part of 22.3. That made it, again, a first for the Open of doing this team competition style. Annie, good luck to you guys and your team on the rest of the season. Justin, any parting words of encouragement we got going forward for these guys?
No, my advice is do it in front of a big group and get ready for those cinnamon rolls on Saturday.
Oh, man, now I'm craving cinnamon rolls. Thank you so much for that, guys. Listen, y'all have a great night. We appreciate you guys staying up late with us. And for those of you guys out there, good luck in 22.3, because at the end of this, moving on to quarterfinals. All right, gang, good luck for the rest of the season.